The universe was quiet. Too quiet, some said. Humanity had spread to distant star systems, yet peace seemed fragile, as if the stars themselves were holding their breath. Commander Elias Rourke stared out of the bridge window of the horizon, the human exploration vessel that now drifted near the outer rim of known space. The light of distant suns shimmered against the darkness, a comforting but eerie sight. The distress signal had arrived 3 days ago. Simple, yet chilling. A fragmented transmission from a species humanity had long feared, the Xylar. Known across multiple galaxies as the most dangerous predators, the Xylar were colossal, their bodies armored, their claws capable of tearing through starship hulls as if they were paper. Entire fleets had been destroyed at the mere hint of their presence. And now they had sent a message asking for help. Rourke rubbed his face. "I still can't believe this," he muttered to Lieutenant Mara Chen. "The deadliest species in the galaxy, asking us for help?" Mara's brow furrowed. "It doesn't make sense. Why would they reach out to humans? They've never negotiated, never asked for anything, only destruction." "Exactly," Rourke said, gripping the armrest. "We need to be ready for anything." The horizon slipped through the edge of the nebula where the signal originated. Sensors immediately detected the massive presence of Xylar vessels, empty, drifting, and strangely silent. No signs of life, no aggressive signals. Only one small craft hovered above the rocky surface of a deserted planet. It was nothing like a warship. It looked fragile, almost human in its structure. Rourke's heart pounded. "Prepare the landing team," he ordered. "We go down carefully. No weapons unless we're forced to use them. And keep your eyes open." The landing party stepped onto the planet's surface, their boots crunching on the reddish soil. The wind was harsh, carrying the scent of metallic minerals. As they approached the small craft, the hatch opened silently, revealing a sight that stunned every human present. Standing there were small Xylar, but not the size anyone expected. These were the young, barely grown, yet even in their youth they radiated power. Their eyes glowed faintly, reflecting intelligence and caution beyond their size. Commander Rourke froze. They're children," he whispered. A figure stepped forward from the shadows. It was an adult Xylar, massive and imposing, but it did not move aggressively. Its voice was strange, vibrating through the air rather than through sound. "Trust them. Protect them. We cannot stay. The galaxy will not forgive our weakness." The words were simple but heavy with meaning. Rourke felt a shiver run down his spine. "You want us to take your children?" The Xylar bowed slightly. "They will survive only if humans guard them. They are dangerous, but they are our future. Choose wisely." Mara stepped closer, scanning the young Xylar with her instruments. They're not fully grown, but even as juveniles, their energy signatures are off the charts. "Commander, these children could destroy our landing craft with a single strike if provoked." Rourke swallowed hard. "And if we refuse?" The adult Xylar's eyes seemed to pierce his mind. "Then they will perish, and the galaxy will forget mercy, as it always forgets the weak." Silence fell. The wind howled, yet no one dared speak. The choice was terrifying but clear. Accept the responsibility or leave the children to an uncertain death. Rourke finally nodded. "We'll take them," he said. "But understand, any aggression, any attempt to harm humans, we will defend ourselves. We're not your soldiers, but we will protect life." The adult Xylar bowed again. "It is enough. You will not fail." With that, the Xylar adult vanished into the shadows, leaving only the young. They stepped forward slowly, cautious, their glowing eyes observing every human. Rourke could feel their power, their strength, and their intelligence, and yet he also sensed fear, curiosity, and a strange kind of hope. The journey back to the horizon was tense. The young Xylar moved carefully among the humans, their movements graceful, almost predatory. Mara kept a hand near her sidearm, though she knew instinctively it would be useless against a full-grown Xylar. Rourke gave silent orders to keep calm, keep respectful distance, and avoid sudden movements. In the observation deck, the young Xylar were held in a specially designed containment area, transparent but reinforced with human and alien alloys. They paced, their tails brushing against the walls, and occasionally, one would glance at a human and tilt its head as if asking a question without words. Mara leaned closer to one of them. "Do you understand us?" she asked softly. The young Xylar's head turned sharply, eyes locking onto hers. It stepped closer, sniffed the air, and then sat down, tail curling around its body. Mara exhaled slowly. I think it does. In its own way, it understands. Rourke stood behind her. That's a start, he said. But understanding doesn't mean trust. We'll need to earn that, just like they'll need to learn control. Weeks passed aboard the Horizon as they traveled toward Earth. The young Xylar tested the limits of their containment and their abilities, often startling the human crew with bursts of strength or intelligence. They could solve complex puzzles within moments and mimic human gestures with uncanny accuracy. Yet they also displayed fear and caution, particularly around humans who moved too quickly or spoke too loudly. Dr. Lena Vasquez, the ship's lead xenopsychologist, observed them constantly. They are not monsters, she explained to Rourke one morning. They are children, yes, but they have potential we can only imagine. Right now they are raw power, untrained, untamed, but they respond to guidance. And humans? We have something they do not, empathy. That may be the key, Rourke nodded. Empathy. Or courage. I just hope it's enough. If the galaxy knew we were carrying the young of the Xylar, every faction capable of attacking would come for them. He didn't mention his own fear, the fear that one wrong move, one misunderstanding, could end not just the children's lives, but the lives of every human on board. Yet despite that fear, there was a spark of hope. Humanity had faced impossible odds before, and somehow, humans had always found a way to survive. One evening, as the twin suns of a distant system set across the viewport, Rourke found himself standing near the containment area alone. One of the young Xylar approached him slowly, its eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. It did not hiss, nor did it strike. Instead, it lowered its head slightly, a gesture almost respectful. Rourke extended a hand, uncertain. The creature hesitated, then brushed its forehead against his palm. A shiver ran through him, not fear but recognition. They were small, yes, but they were beginning to trust. Mara walked in quietly, watching the interaction. It's a start, she said softly. If they can trust you, maybe we all can learn something from them. Rourke smiled faintly. Or maybe, we'll teach the galaxy what humans are really capable of. Not just survival, but guardianship. And for the first time in weeks, he allowed himself a small measure of hope. Humanity had been chosen by the unthinkable, entrusted with the children of the galaxy's most dangerous species. The burden was immense, but so was the opportunity. As the Horizon jumped into faster-than-light travel toward Earth, the stars streaking past like silver threads, Rourke felt the weight of the future settle firmly on his shoulders. Humanity's courage, ingenuity, and compassion would be tested in ways no one could predict. And the galaxy would watch, but for now, humanity had the Xylar children. And perhaps, just perhaps, that was enough. Earth was alive with curiosity and cautious excitement when the Horizon finally emerged from faster-than-light travel. News of the humans carrying the Xylar children spread quickly among the scientific community, political leaders, and the general public. Many feared the young Xylar, knowing their species' deadly reputation. Others were fascinated, eager to study the children and understand their immense potential. The landing site was remote, a secure facility built for alien containment and research. As the humans guided the young Xylar down the ramps, the children's glowing eyes scanned their surroundings, wary but curious. Their small forms seemed almost delicate compared to their fearsome potential, yet every human present could feel the quiet strength emanating from them. Dr. Lena Vasquez stepped forward. We must remember these are children. They will test limits, push boundaries, and sometimes act unpredictably, but they are capable of learning and they will respond to care and guidance. Commander Elias Rourke nodded. We'll need strict protocols. Every human interaction must be measured, every action calculated. Any mistake could cost lives. The first days were chaotic. The young Xylar did not speak in human languages, but they understood gestures, tone, and emotion. They explored every corner of the facility, testing doors, walls, and equipment. One juvenile accidentally crushed a reinforced door handle with minimal effort. Another jumped from a height that would have injured any human, landing with perfect balance. Mara Chen watched from a safe distance, her hand on a tablet tracking their behavior. They're stronger than we imagined, and fast. Too fast for standard human reflexes. Yet, despite their strength, they were children in many ways. They mimicked human expressions, sometimes laughing in their own sharp, high-pitched way when startled or pleased. They could form attachments, often following a human from room to room, watching every movement with sharp, curious eyes. Dr. Vasquez assigned teams to work with each Xylar, pairing them with humans who could guide, teach, and monitor them. The first lesson was simple discipline. Even a small outburst of energy could destroy human-made objects. Every movement had to be intentional, every reaction considered. The challenge was immense. One young Xylar, whom the team named Kale, became frustrated when unable to open a secured storage unit. His claws scraped the reinforced metal, sparks flying. A group of humans froze, fearing he might break through entirely. But instead of lashing out violently, Kale stopped, stared at the humans, and mimicked the calming hand gesture that Dr. Vasquez used. It was the first real sign of understanding. The humans cheered softly, careful not to startle him. "Progress," Rourke whispered. "Small, but real progress." As days turned into weeks, the young Xylar learned to communicate through gestures, symbols, and eventually, a basic form of human speech. Their voices were soft, melodic, yet carried an echo of the fierce tones of their species. They began asking questions, pointing at objects, and showing curiosity about human culture, food, clothing, machines, and even games. But their nature remained unpredictable. One afternoon, a human engineer accidentally startled one of the children. The Xylar reacted instinctively, knocking over a containment wall with a single swipe of its tail. The human scrambled, some narrowly avoiding injury. Rourke entered the room seconds later, calming everyone. "It's instinct, not aggression. Remember, they're still learning control. Punishing them won't help. We need guidance, patience, and caution." It was a lesson that echoed throughout the facility. Each human began to understand that raising these young Xylar would not just be about physical safety. It would be about teaching emotional intelligence, trust, and cooperation. During quiet evenings, Dr. Vasquez held small sessions to teach the children empathy. She told stories of human history, of triumphs, mistakes, and lessons learned. The young Xylar listened intently, their glowing eyes wide, absorbing every word. Occasionally, they would mimic human expressions, showing understanding of joy, sadness, or surprise. One night, Kale approached Rourke alone. He gestured toward the stars and then at himself, then pointed at Rourke. The message was clear: teach me. Guide me, I wish to understand. Rourke smiled, placing a hand gently on Kale's shoulder. "We'll learn together," he said. But it wasn't just the Xylar who were learning. Humans discovered much from the children as well. They had heightened senses, perceiving subtle changes in temperature, energy, and even emotional shifts in humans. Their intelligence was extraordinary. One could solve complex mathematical problems faster than any human supercomputer. Yet they lacked human morals and ethics. They needed guidance to understand the difference between right and wrong, mercy and destruction. The facility soon became a bustling hub of education, training, and observation. Humans taught the young Xylar to eat human-prepared meals safely, to control their physical strength, and to interact without causing harm. In return, the children displayed moments of wonder, curiosity about human inventions, fascination with music, and a strange enjoyment of stories and games. Mara observed one session where a Xylar child, Lyra, was introduced to a holographic simulation of a city. Lyra's eyes widened as buildings, vehicles, and humans moved across the projection. She reached out and gently tapped a moving vehicle. The holographic city responded, and Lyra laughed, a soft bell-like sound. Mara felt a warmth in her chest. These were dangerous beings, yes, but they were learning, adapting, and even enjoying human experiences. Yet, challenges remained. The children's instincts were powerful, and emotions could trigger dangerous responses. One evening, two of the young Xylar got into a disagreement over a toy. Their voices grew loud, bodies tensed, and the energy in the room surged. Humans rushed in, trying to separate them. Just as one child raised a claw, Kale stepped between them, placing his body protectively around the younger ones. His eyes glowed fiercely, not in anger, but in authority. The room quieted immediately. Rourke and the team watched in awe. "They're learning from each other, too," Rourke whispered. "They're beginning to understand cooperation, leadership, even responsibility." It was a small victory, but monumental. Humanity had never encountered a species like this, and the bond forming between human and Xylar was unprecedented. Trust, patience, and compassion were proving more effective than fear or force. However, shadows of concern lingered. The galaxy was vast and news traveled faster than light in some circles. Humanity knew that other species, particularly those who coveted the Xylar for their strength, would notice their absence. Rival factions, mercenaries, and opportunistic civilizations might see the young as weapons, and Earth could become a target. One night, Rourke sat alone, staring at the stars. Kyle appeared beside him, quiet, his glowing eyes reflecting the starlight. Rourke spoke softly. "We're preparing you as best we can. But the galaxy, it won't wait. Others will come. We need to be ready." Kale's small hand reached out, touching Rourke's arm, a silent promise, a bond between teacher and student. In that moment, Rourke understood. Humanity wasn't just raising children. They were shaping the future of the galaxy one step at a time. As days passed, routines formed. Humans taught, guided, and protected. The young Xylar learned, adapted, and even began showing affection. Laughter, play, and curiosity filled the once tense halls of the facility. Bonds strengthened. The impossible was becoming real. Two species, feared and misunderstood, learning to trust each other. But the galaxy would not remain silent for long. Somewhere beyond the stars, eyes watched the young Xylar with interest and greed. Humanity's courage and compassion were about to be tested in ways no one could predict. Yet for the first time, Rourke felt a surge of hope. Humans had accepted the responsibility that no one else would, and in doing so, they were proving something extraordinary. They were not just survivors or explorers, they were guardians. And guardians, he knew, could change the course of history. The young Xylar, once feared as monsters, were beginning to understand humans. And humans were beginning to understand themselves. The challenge of raising these children had only begun, but the seeds of trust, courage, and friendship were planted. And from those seeds, the future of the galaxy would grow in ways no one could have imagined. Weeks passed in careful routine at the secure facility. Humans and the young Xylar had grown into a rhythm of learning and trust. The children had begun to master control over their incredible strength and intelligence. Their small victories celebrated like milestones in human history. But the galaxy never forgot. It began with faint blips on the long-range sensors, fleets moving near the outer edge of human-controlled space. At first, they appeared as routine patrols, but careful analysis revealed something far more concerning. The ships were not human, nor allied with any friendly species. They carried the insignia of a notorious mercenary faction, known for harvesting alien species to weaponize their abilities. Commander Elias Rourke watched the holographic display carefully. "They're looking for something," he said grimly. "And based on the trajectory, I'd say, they know about the Xylar children." Dr. Lena Vasquez nodded. "They will not hesitate to attack. They see the children as weapons. If they take them, we can't predict the consequences. Entire systems could be destabilized." Rourke's jaw tightened. "We prepared for this possibility, but I hoped it wouldn't come so soon. Alert the security teams, begin defensive drills, but keep calm. We don't want the children to panic." The young Xylar, unaware of the looming danger, were busy with lessons. Kale and Lyra had been learning basic problem-solving with holographic simulations, and another child, Rin, was practicing movement drills in the training arena. Their progress was remarkable, but Rourke knew instinct would take over if threatened. And their instincts could easily destroy human technology in a single strike. It was Mara Chen who first realized the severity of the situation. She had been monitoring sensor readings when she noticed a fleet of sleek, black ships accelerating toward the facility. Their formation was precise, their intent unmistakable. "Commander," she shouted. "They're coming fast and they're armed." Rourke grabbed his comm device. "All units prepare for defensive protocols. Keep the children secure and away from windows. This isn't a drill." The young Xylar sensed the tension before any alarms sounded. Their glowing eyes flicked nervously around the room, and Kyle stepped forward, placing himself between the humans and the nearest window. Lyra and Rin followed instinctively. The children's awareness was astounding, their senses far sharper than any humans. The first ships entered visual range. Sleek, dark, and menacing, they hovered above the facility like vultures circling prey. Human defenders scrambled into positions, energy shields powering up and turrets rotating to cover every angle. "Hold your ground," Rourke instructed. "We do not fire unless necessary. We protect the children first." The enemy ships fired a warning volley, sending energy pulses toward the facility. Humans braced as the shields absorbed the impact, glowing under the strain. The young Xylar, sensing the danger, instinctively emitted bursts of energy, small but controlled enough to reinforce the human shields. Mara's eyes widened. They're helping. They're protecting the shields. Rourke nodded grimly. Good, keep them calm. We need their cooperation, not panic. The battle began in earnest. The mercenary ships descended, firing concentrated energy beams. Humans responded, strategically targeting engines and shields while keeping the Xylar children behind protective barriers. The young children moved in synchrony, instinctively defending humans by manipulating energy flows, reinforcing barriers and anticipating enemy moves. Kale leaped into action, vaulting over a railing and landing near a critical energy node. With precise movements, he redirected power to a failing shield, saving several human defenders from certain injury. Lyra and Rin followed his lead, coordinating without words. Their teamwork was incredible, demonstrating understanding far beyond their years. Despite the intensity, Dr. Vasquez remained calm, guiding the children through the chaos. Control your energy. Focus on protection, not attack. You are guardians, not weapons. It was a lesson that mattered. The children responded, channeling their power defensively, allowing humans to counterattack strategically. The combination of human tactics and Xylar abilities created a formidable defense, surprising the mercenary forces. Rourke moved through the facility, issuing orders and encouraging both humans and Xylar alike. Stay focused. Protect the children. Show them what humans are capable of. As the battle raged, a small group of enemy boarding crafts attempted to infiltrate the facility. Rourke anticipated their move and led a team to intercept them. To his astonishment, Kale, Lyra, and Rin accompanied him, not out of aggression but instinctive defense. Inside the corridors, the children used their agility and strength to block intruders. Kale grabbed one mercenary mid-step and held him firmly without harm, demonstrating control and restraint. Lyra used her energy burst to temporarily disable enemy systems, while Rin guided humans through hidden passages. Rourke realized that the children were not just participants, they were learning strategy in real time, observing human behavior and applying it instinctively. They're understanding us. And they're thinking, he whispered to Mara. After hours of tense engagement, the mercenary fleet, surprised by the resistance and the unexpected defense, retreated. The facility had survived, and not a single human or Xylar child was lost. In the aftermath, Rourke gathered the children together. You did well, he said. You protected your friends, your teachers, and yourselves. That is what it means to be guardians. Kale, standing tall, tilted his head and said in broken human speech, We help protect humans. His glowing eyes reflected pride. Dr. Vasquez knelt beside them. You are learning control, responsibility, and teamwork. You are growing stronger, not just in power, but in understanding. That is what makes you extraordinary. The humans clapped softly, careful not to overwhelm the children. It was a victory, but the threat had only confirmed one thing. The galaxy would come for the Xylar children, and humanity must remain vigilant. In the following days, the humans worked tirelessly to reinforce defenses, train the Xylar children in controlled combat simulations, and develop communication strategies. The children absorbed every lesson, learning not only tactics but also human ethics, when to fight, when to retreat, and how to protect without harming unnecessarily. Rourke observed Kale during a training exercise. The young Xylar was faced with a simulated enemy approaching a human outpost. Instead of attacking aggressively, Kale assessed the situation, created a barrier, and guided human soldiers to safety. It was instinctive yet thoughtful. These children, Rourke said to Mara, they're more than just powerful beings. They're learning judgment, empathy, and cooperation. They are becoming true allies. But even as they trained, Rourke could not ignore the larger reality. Across the galaxy, other eyes were watching. Mercenary groups, rival empires, and opportunists would not rest. The Xylar children were rare, dangerous, and invaluable. Humanity had not only accepted responsibility, they had declared themselves the guardians of the galaxy's most feared species. One quiet evening, as the sun set behind the mountains surrounding the facility, Kale approached Rourke again. His eyes glowed softly in the dim light. He placed a small clawed hand on Rourke's arm and gestured toward the sky. Rourke understood. The galaxy is vast. The threats are endless. But together, we are ready. He smiled, feeling a rare sense of confidence. Yes, Kale. Together we will face whatever comes. Humans and Xylar, guardians of each other. And as the stars appeared, twinkling like distant fires, Rourke knew the battle for survival was only beginning. But humanity had something the galaxy had never seen before. Courage, compassion, and the unbreakable bond between species. The young Xylar had learned to trust humans. Humans had learned to trust themselves. And together they would stand against whatever the galaxy dared to throw at them next. The challenge was far from over, but for the first time, the impossible felt possible. Life at the secure facility had settled into a disciplined rhythm. Humans and the young Xylar continued to learn from each other, growing stronger, wiser, and closer with every passing day. The earlier attack had left a mark on everyone, but it had also solidified a bond that neither species had expected. Commander Elias Rourke observed the training grounds from a raised platform, watching the young Xylar as they practiced coordinated maneuvers with human teams. Kale, Lyra, and Rin had become proficient in controlling their energy, strength, and instincts. They worked together, predicting each other's movements, adjusting strategies on the fly, and even correcting humans when mistakes were made. Dr. Lena Vasquez approached him. "They're learning faster than we anticipated," she said. "Not just skills, but judgment. They're understanding consequences, ethics, and responsibility. It's remarkable," Rourke nodded. "It's not just learning. They're growing into something extraordinary, and we're learning just as much from them." In the indoor simulation room, a holographic map of a nearby star system flickered to life. Humans and Xylar children were tasked with a scenario, defending a colony from an approaching enemy fleet. The exercise was complex, requiring coordination, communication, and quick decision-making. Kyle immediately took a position near the defensive nodes. "We guard," he said in broken human speech. Lyra nodded, moving to intercept simulated boarding teams. Rin coordinated with the humans, analyzing enemy patterns and suggesting optimal defensive positions. Dr. Vasquez watched closely. "Notice how they communicate non-verbally," she explained to Mara Chen. "Their gestures, glances, and energy signals are all forms of coordination. They're adapting human strategy and integrating their instincts. They're learning teamwork at a level few humans ever reach." The simulation began, and chaos erupted across the holographic display. Enemy forces moved unpredictably, testing every defensive line. The humans followed their usual tactics, but the Xylar children adapted instinctively. Kale redirected energy flows to protect vulnerable points. Lyra blocked simulated intrusions with precise timing, and Rin guided human teams with a calm efficiency that surprised even the seasoned soldiers. After the exercise, Rourke gathered the team. "This is the future," he said. "Not humans or Xylar alone, but humans and Xylar working together. We can achieve what no single species can." Meanwhile, outside the facility, reconnaissance drones picked up signs of distant observers. Other civilizations were curious about the Xylar children, and some were wary. Rumors of humanity's success had spread through galactic networks, attracting attention from allies, rivals, and opportunists alike. Despite these external threats, life inside the facility focused on learning. Humans introduced the children to Earth culture, music, art, literature, and games. The Xylar responded with fascination. Lyra spent hours watching holographic projections of Earth landscapes, marveling at mountains, rivers, and forests. Rin learned to play simple human games, discovering patterns and strategy within the rules. Kale experimented with human tools, combining alien instincts with human ingenuity. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, the three children sat with Rourke and Vasquez. Kale tilted his head, looking at the stars. "Why humans at care?" he asked. Rourke smiled. "Because we understand what it means to protect those who cannot protect themselves. Courage isn't just about fighting. It's about responsibility, compassion, and trust. That's what we see in you." Lyra blinked, her glowing eyes softening. "We learn," "Yes," Vasquez said. "And every day you grow stronger, not just in power but in understanding. That is what will make you truly formidable in the galaxy." Their training was not limited to strategy and defense. Humans taught them ethics and decision-making. One exercise involved choosing between saving a human settlement or neutralizing a simulated enemy threat. The children initially struggled, torn between instinctive aggression and learned empathy. Kale hesitated, then diverted energy to protect civilians first, demonstrating a remarkable grasp of human values. "Good," Rourke said quietly. "That is wisdom. That is what separates instinct from understanding. You are learning to think like guardians, not just warriors." Mara noticed another change. The children were forming bonds not just with humans but with each other. Small acts of care, protection, and teamwork became routine. Rin would stop Lyra from overexerting herself during exercises. Kale would calm Rin when he became frustrated. These interactions demonstrated that the Xylar were learning cooperation and empathy, qualities not expected from a species known for fear and destruction. Dr. Vasquez documented every behavior, marveling at the results. "This is unprecedented," she told Rourke. "We've not only raised dangerous beings, but we've taught them restraint, strategy, and care. Humanity has shown them a new way to exist. It's remarkable." Even the human teams were learning. Soldiers adjusted their tactics to complement the Xylar abilities. Engineers designed systems that took alien instincts into account, and scientists studied the interaction between species. The facility became a hub of innovation, cooperation, and discovery. One night, a distant alert broke the calm. A reconnaissance drone detected movement near the facility's perimeter. Unknown ships, cloaked but approaching rapidly. Humans and Xylar children moved into position, ready for potential conflict. Kale stepped forward. "We ready," he said firmly. Lyra and Rin mirrored him. Rourke placed a hand on Kale's shoulder. "Remember what you've learned. Protect, but do not attack unless necessary. Work with humans. Together, we are stronger." The cloaked ships revealed themselves. Small, fast vessels, clearly scouts sent to monitor or challenge the facility. Humans responded with defensive maneuvers, while the Xylar children focused on support, redirecting energy, reinforcing shields, and coordinating with human teams. The intruders quickly realized the facility was not vulnerable and retreated without direct engagement. Rourke exhaled. "Every encounter is a lesson," he said. "They test us, we learn, we improve. That is how we survive." As the weeks passed, humans and Xylar continued to deepen their bond. The children began understanding concepts beyond survival: honor, friendship, loyalty, and sacrifice. Kale once risked injury to save a human soldier during a training accident. Lyra comforted a frightened child with gentle gestures. Rin offered guidance to humans struggling with complex simulations. It was clear that the children were not only powerful, they were capable of moral growth, empathy, and reason. Humanity had taught them that strength alone was not enough. Wisdom and care were equally important. In the evenings when training ended, the children would gather with Rourke and Vasquez to watch Earth's night sky. The stars stretched endlessly, a reminder of the vast galaxy they would one day navigate. Kale often touched Rourke's arm, asking questions about distant planets, civilizations, and human achievements. "Will we see them?" he asked one night, pointing at distant stars. "Yes," Rourke replied, "but first you must be ready. The galaxy is vast and not all will welcome you. We prepare you so that when the time comes you can face it with courage, wisdom, and unity." Lyra smiled softly, her glowing eyes reflecting the stars. "We learn." "Ready?" Rourke nodded. "Good. That is all I ask." The humans had discovered that raising these children was not simply about controlling their power. It was about nurturing understanding, patience, and the courage to act wisely. The young Xylar had begun to grasp these lessons, becoming more than mere survivors or weapons. They were guardians, allies, and students of humanity's courage. And the galaxy, distant and watchful, had begun to notice. Every day brought new lessons, new challenges, and new victories. Humans and Xylar alike learned that cooperation, trust, and empathy were as important as strength. The children were becoming disciplined, compassionate, and capable of incredible teamwork. Rourke stood once more on the observation deck, looking out at the stars. Kale, Lyra, and Rin stood beside him, their eyes reflecting distant suns. "We are ready," he whispered, "not just for the next challenge, but for the future." And in that moment, humanity understood something profound. Strength alone did not define greatness. Courage, wisdom, and compassion, qualities humans had long cherished, were what truly shaped the galaxy. The Xylar children were learning these lessons, and humanity was proving that even the deadliest species could be guided by empathy, patience, and trust. The galaxy's future was uncertain. Yes, but within the walls of that facility, a remarkable truth had been forged. Together, humans and Xylar could face anything, and the next test, the ultimate challenge, was waiting beyond the stars. The calm of the facility was shattered one early morning. Long-range sensors picked up an armada unlike anything humanity had faced before. Hundreds of ships, dark and silent, were approaching at impossible speed. The fleet belonged to a powerful alien coalition, eager to claim the Xylar children and exploit their abilities. Commander Elias Rourke stood at the observation deck watching the ships close in. His heart was steady, but his mind raced. "This is it," he said. "Everything we've done, the training, the trust, the lessons, it all leads to this moment." Humans and Xylar together. Dr. Lena Vasquez nodded beside him. "They are ready. And so are we. We've learned from each other. Now we will show the galaxy what that means." The alarm sounded across the facility. Red lights flashing. Humans scrambled to defensive positions, energy shields powering up while the young Xylar moved with calm precision. Kyle, Lyra, and Rin stood at strategic points, their glowing eyes scanning the fleet. "Remember," Rourke called, "this is about protection, not destruction. Guard the children, defend yourselves, and trust each other." "We fight as one!" The first wave of enemy ships opened fire. Energy beams streaked toward the facility, but humans and Xylar reacted in perfect synchrony. The children channeled their power to reinforce shields, redirecting energy and neutralizing attacks before they reached critical systems. Kale leaped onto a nearby control platform, using his strength to stabilize a failing energy node. Lyra and Rin coordinated defensive pulses, guiding human teams to cover weak points. Their training and understanding of human strategy turned what could have been a disaster into a calculated defense. Rourke issued orders quickly, adapting tactics as the enemy shifted formations. "Focus on weak points in their coordination. Use the Xylar abilities to support our lines. Protect the children at all costs." The enemy fleet advanced, underestimating the cooperation between human ingenuity and Xylar instinct. Mara Chen watched in awe as the children not only defended, but began predicting enemy maneuvers, moving before humans even spoke commands. Their instincts, combined with human strategy, created a force stronger than the sum of its parts. Inside the facility, engineers and scientists monitored energy fluctuations and shield integrity. The Xylar children communicated silently with humans, warning of vulnerabilities and guiding responses. Even the youngest began to act decisively, understanding the importance of timing, patience, and precision. Rourke felt a surge of pride. "This is what I hoped for," he muttered. "They're not just learning, they're thriving." The enemy attempted a boarding maneuver, sending small craft to infiltrate the facility. Kale intercepted the first group, using his speed and strength to block entry without harming the intruders unnecessarily. Lyra created energy barriers to guide them away from critical areas, while Rin coordinated human defenders, directing them to positions of advantage. The enemy underestimated their opponents again. Each move they made was met with calculated resistance, their attacks countered by human tactics and Xylar instinct. The children were no longer passive. They were active participants, protectors, and strategists. Dr. Vasquez observed from the control center, documenting every action. "They're not just following orders," she said. "They're thinking, reacting, and teaching each other. They understand the concept of leadership and cooperation. Humanity has given them that gift, and they are using it wisely." The battle reached its climax when the enemy fleet concentrated all its firepower on a central shield node. The structure began to buckle under the strain, threatening the entire facility. Kale and Lyra acted instantly, channeling energy with precision to stabilize the shield. Rin guided human engineers to reinforce structural weaknesses, working seamlessly as a team. Rourke shouted, "Hold the line! Trust each other. Together we cannot fail." The combined efforts paid off. The central shield held, and the enemy fleet, exhausted and outmaneuvered, began to retreat. Humans and Xylar had defended their home, their charges, and themselves against impossible odds. Silence returned, broken only by the hum of the facility's systems. Humans and Xylar alike took a moment to breathe, assess, and appreciate what they had accomplished. The children's glowing eyes reflected pride and relief. They had succeeded, and they had done it together. Rourke approached Kale, placing a hand on his shoulder. "You were magnificent," he said. "Every one of you. You protected your friends and you helped save lives. That is courage, strength, and wisdom combined." Kale nodded, his eyes softening. "We protect. Together, humans." Lyra stepped forward, smiling faintly. "We learn. We must grow with humans," Rin added quietly. "We ready, always." The humans clapped softly, careful not to overwhelm the children. Dr. Vasquez joined in, tears of relief and pride in her eyes. "You've proven something extraordinary, not just to us but to the galaxy. You've shown that cooperation, empathy, and trust are more powerful than fear, aggression, or raw strength." Word of the battle spread quickly across galactic channels. Civilizations that had once feared humans and Xylar now watched with awe. Humans had not only survived, they had protected the galaxy's most dangerous species, trained them, and fought side by side. Humanity's reputation as brave, compassionate, and strategic warriors grew overnight. Rourke stood on the observation deck again, looking at the young Xylar. "This is just the beginning," he said. "The galaxy will continue to challenge us, but today, you've shown that nothing is impossible when we work together." Kyle, Lyra, and Rin looked out at the stars, understanding the weight of the responsibility they carried. But they also felt hope, the hope that humans had given them, the courage that had been nurtured, and the trust that had been earned. Over the following weeks, humans and Xylar worked to repair the facility, strengthen defenses, and prepare for future challenges. The children continued to train, growing not only in strength but in wisdom, leadership, and empathy. They played, laughed, and learned, but they also remained vigilant, understanding that the galaxy was vast and full of potential threats. The bond between species deepened. Humans began to see the Xylar children not as dangerous creatures to be controlled, but as partners, allies, and students in a shared journey. The children, in turn, respected human courage, compassion, and intelligence. Together, they had faced the impossible and emerged victorious. One evening, Rourke gathered the children outside under the stars. "You've done something remarkable," he said softly. "You've proven that the galaxy can trust humans, that strength can be guided by wisdom, and that even the most dangerous beings can learn compassion and cooperation." Kyle tilted his head, eyes glowing faintly. "We understand. Humans, strong, brave protectors." Lyra added, "We follow humans. Learn, protect, together." Rin's voice was quiet but firm. "We ready for galaxy?" "With humans," Rourke smiled. "Yes, together we are ready. And the galaxy will remember this day, not for the threat that came, but for the courage, trust, and unity that defeated it." In the distance, stars glittered like countless eyes watching, and somewhere across the galaxy, civilizations began to whisper of the humans who had dared to raise and protect the deadliest species in existence. Humans had shown that bravery was not just fighting but caring, teaching, and guiding. Strength alone was nothing without wisdom, compassion, and trust. The Xylar children were no longer helpless. They had grown into disciplined, loyal, and courageous guardians. Humanity had earned their trust and had proven that they could protect even the most formidable species. Together, they had achieved something no one thought possible. And as the stars stretched endlessly across the sky, Rourke knew that humanity's story had only begun. The galaxy would challenge them, test them, and sometimes fear them. But humans and their Xylar allies would face every trial with courage, unity, and compassion. The impossible had been achieved. Guardianship had been proven, and the galaxy, vast and uncertain, had seen for the first time the true strength of humanity. The young Xylar nestled beside humans, the bonds of trust and loyalty shining brighter than any star. Together they had survived the unthinkable, and together they would shape the future of the galaxy. Humanity had triumphed, not through domination, but through understanding. Not through fear, but through courage. Not through power alone, but through unity. The galaxy would never forget.